This is an examination of the lesser ritual of the hexagram LRH as presented in most books on Western magic. Besides background on the technique and its uses, the video includes suggestions for experimentation to hopefully help your magic. Essential to practical magic, LRH was initially given by the Golden Dawn only to adepts of the Great of Adeptus Minor 5=6. Besides making it their first macrocosmic technique, this also placed LRH in the same category with rites like SIRP, a thorough examination of which you can watch on this channel. Later, Crowley made arrangements including the ritual at the beginning of the path for AA adepts. In its invoking form, LRH brings the element's macrocosmic aspects, making the working impact the objective reality. Its banishing form clears the heavenly realm, keeping the outer influences at bay. As we covered in previous videos, the pentagram represents the microcosm or the inner world, whereas the hexagram the macrocosm or the objective reality. From a practical standpoint, the key is sequencing your preliminary rites so they open these to each other, creating a field of operation that lets thought become a reality more readily. The hexagram. According to Regardis the Golden Dawn, the hexagram is, quote, a powerful symbol representing the operation of the 7 planets under the presidency of the Sephiroth and of the 7th lettered name ARARITA, unquote. ARARITA. ARARITA is the divine name to vibrate in each direction when performing LRH. Coming from Aramaic, ARARITA is an otaricon translating into one is his beginning, one is his individuality, his permutation is one. According to One Maiudiket, the most concise explication of ARARITA can be found in the Star Sapphire book, where Crowley wrote 6 in 1 through the names of 7 in 1, ARARITA. Quote, the use of this name and formula ARARITA is to equate and to identify every idea with its opposite, thus being released from the obsession of thinking any one of them is true and therefore binding, one can withdraw oneself from the whole sphere of the Ruach, unquote. What accomplishing that lets the magician is to transcend the limitations and restrictions of the day-to-day mind, which operates entirely on conceptualization and duality. The Tree of Life. The Tree of Life diagram shows that the hexagram takes up the space from Binadat to Yesod when superimposed on it. Corresponding to vow of the Yod-Hei Vav-Hei or King, Queen, Prince, Princess, this hexagram or 6 also symbolizes the operator's AJ, i.e. the prince. On the other hand, the magician is the microcosm or 5, such as the final He of the formula. That is why the regular performance of LRP and LRH unites these, turning them into one above conceptualization and denial. The ritual depicting that best is Crowley's The Star Sapphire, and though that is a subject for another post, I believe it would be appropriate to include this quote from Liber Vel ARARITA. Quote, I also welded together the flaming star with the 6-fold star in the forge of my soul, and behold, a new star that is above all these. Unquote. To learn more about different combinations of lesser pentagram and hexagram rituals, I offer my 2-part video, Fields of Operation in Practical Magic. Different hexagrams. Initially, the Golden Dawn came up with their traditional hexagrams. Representing different elements, these don't resemble actual stars, but look like 2 triangles underneath each other. The far hexagram is made of 2 red triangles overlaying each other upwardly. Rhomboid-like, the air hexagram comprises 2 yellow triangles that kinda mirror each other while sharing a horizontal line. The water hexagram includes 2 blue triangles to also mirror each other, but oppositely, having their top angles touching. Different is only the earth hexagram. Being also that of Saturn in the greater and the supreme hexagram rituals, GRH and SRH, the same is an actual star with its triangles interlinking. Saturn and Earth. The LRH section of Regardis the Golden Dawn vaguely mentions Saturn hexagrams can be used for general and unimportant workings, which supposedly includes preliminary work. In that regard, the book suggests looking at the Saturn hexagram in LRH similarly to how you look at the Earth pentagram in LRP, that being as a general purpose tool since Earth contains all 4 elements. One reason is that Earth and Saturn both represent denser energies. Besides that, and less commonly mentioned, as my viewer Diane Shaw 123 wants to know, the 32nd path in the Tree of Life corresponds to the physical universe and the 4 elements as displayed in the Universe Tarot Trump, which all attribute to the letter Tav and Saturn. This reminds us that Crowley invented a Thelemic LRH employing Saturn's Unicursal Hexagram in all 4 quadrants, which we'll discuss in a moment. Directions. Unlike the pentagrams, which I explained in my SRP video, Golden Dawn's elemental hexagrams use docile or clockwise and Witherspoon's counterclockwise notation for invoking and banishing, while always starting with the upright triangle. Like LRP, LRH begins in the east and moves clockwise, connecting each hexagram with a white of white brilliance and thus forming a circle. Unicursal Hexagram. Suppose you opt for the Unicursal Hexagram. According to most books, including regarding ceremonial magic and why would you get the magic of Aleister Crowley, its banishing form begins at the uppermost angle, going counterclockwise, whereas the invoking at the lower left, proceeding clockwise. According to some internet content, the banishing form differs from these books, starting at the topmost angle and going counterclockwise. Whatever the case, the Saturnian hexagram goes with the symbol of Saturn, which goes with the appropriate god name, which is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim, meaning you trace and vibrate these after completing each star. Positions. Traditionally, LRA chooses what are considered to be elements heavenly or astral places in the celestial realm. Thus they follow the cardinal position of the 4 cardinal signs in astrology, in which the sun theoretically enters during solstices and equinoxes. That is Aries and Fire in the east, Capricorn and Earth in the south, Libra and Air in the west, and Cancer and Water in the north. Pearls of Wisdom and Living Thelema. According to the books Pearls of Wisdom by James A. Eshelman and Living Thelema by David Shoemaker, this order of the elements should be only used if you're in a consecrated Golden Dawn vault of the second order. As long as I found, Eshelman regards the traditional way as having a blind, which is a statement supported by other scholars. David Shoemaker, on the other hand, claims it's incorrect and unsuitable for daily use outside such vault. Thereby, unless you're in such setting, you should follow the order of your pentagram rituals, placing the elements in the exact directions. For those using the traditional winds model, that is air in the east, fire in the south, water in the west and earth in the north. For others, positioning the elements based on their mutual qualities and density, it usually is fire in the east, air in the south, water in the west and earth in the north, as emphasized in Jeff Rhodes' Hermetic Kabbalah. According to other modern scholars, it is not one over the other, but having 2 different techniques for performing LRH macro and microcosmically. What do you think of that? Also, what order do you use and why? Do you think those performing LRH differently than you are making mistake? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. Replacing ARARITA. Also recommended by Eshelman and Shoemaker is replacing the word ARARITA with the 3 sentences it means. The keyword analysis. Like all hexagram rituals, LRH begins with a preliminary keyword analysis. Essentially, the water is to LRH what the Kabbalistic cross is to LRP. While the Kabbalistic cross identifies the magician as an ideal reflection of the Tree of Life, the keyword analysis affirms them as a part of the ever-evolving magical formula. Including the Christian formula of resurrection INRI, the keyword analysis is derived from Golden Dawn's 5=6 ceremony. It is often regarded as an improved magical formula by adepts of the Aeon of Osiris. INRI. In Hebrew, these are the initials of the elements Yaminim, water, Nur, fire, Ruach, air, and Yepsha, earth. From Latin, that translates into Jesus the Nazarene, King of the Jews. Corresponding to the Yao of the Gnostics and the Egyptians, INRI was also adopted to convey the 3 basic alchemical principles, salt, sulfur and mercury. Also the words Igne Natura Renovatur Integra, which means by fire nature is renewed. Some sources also attribute INRI to Igne Nitrum Roris Invenitur, which means by fire the niter or salt pepper, the mineral form of potassium of the dew, is discovered. Performance. Step 1. The keyword analysis and therefore LRH begin by facing east and saying the following. INRI. Yot Nun Resh Yot. Virgo Isis Mighty Mother. Scorpio Apophis Destroyer. Sol Cyrus Land and Risen. Isis Apophis Osiris. I-A-O. Then you assume the god form of Osiris slain, saying the sign of Osiris slain, then that of morning Isis, saying the sign of the morning of Isis, then that of Apophis and Typhon, saying the sign of Apophis and Typhon, and then you assume the god form of Osiris risen, saying the sign of Osiris risen. After that you extend arms as if forming a cross, saying LVX or Wux, or one after the other, and then you remain in that position, saying the white of the cross. Step 3. The Tablet of Union. If you have the tablets around, pronounce the names of the mystical Tablet of Union, Exarp, Hakama, Nanta, Bitom. Then make a gesture as if bringing the white down, saying let the divine white descend. Next, you draw all the hexagrams as your core self finds most appropriate, forming a circle, and then proceed with another keyword analysis or the other work you have planned. Thoughts and suggestions. To simplify things and make the write more straightforward, you can say only slain to Cyrus, morning of Isis, Apophis and Typhon, and to Cyrus risen when performing the keyword analysis. Set. Based on a reasonable argument outlined by Nick Farrell in this article, you can swap out Apophis and Typhon for Set Typhon. Based on common sense and personal intuition, that's a pretty good idea since it not only matches the original myth of Osiris better, but it also aligns you with the coexisting with that of Horus Aeon of Set and the Set Typhon current authors like Don Webb explain in their works. Let me know what you think of that and whether you want more reviews of such books on this channel. Enochian Names. Lastly, since it was an elaboration adopted by Stella Matutina, using the Enochian names is submitted in most books, yet the Golden Dawn has it, and I think it's appropriate to use it if you have the tablets around and plan to proceed with writes like SRP or OBW. Based on intuition and experience, that further connects your field of operation to the physical reality as LRH works on the macrocosm, but the Enochian names rule the elements. All this, however, might be a placebo effect. But if that's the case, does this make the technique less magical? If so, how? Feel free to let me know what you think of that in the comments below. Other than that, I suggest checking my videos on SRP and the fields of operation in practical magic. There's a high probability you enjoy those if you like this one. And if you struggle with self-discipline and or excess weight and body recomposition, I offer my books, such as my online coaching service, which you can learn more about by DMing me on Instagram. As long as for the actual results of such consulting, I suggest checking my other channel, especially the latest content on it. Who knows, I might be able to help you change your body and health in conformity with your will, while actually preserving your willpower for the truly meaningful in your life. Think of that for a moment. Also, consider checking my works and music on Medium and Spotify, such as on my website. Like the video if you think it provides value, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time.